Hey everyone, welcome back to Nettle Barn. This episode I'm going to be building this lovely space-saving alternating tread staircase. Works very nicely. Now I've made this out of the treads are scaffold boards that I've had planed up, and then I've set those into some nice thick timbers. This is 45mm large, and that is supported by this lovely cherry tree, which has been the elephant in the room for a few episodes now. Everyone's eagerly awaiting an explanation for. So this is fixed in at the top. I've cut bird's mouth in and fixed it into the ridge beam at the top, and fired some concrete screws in around the base into the slab, and then that carries the left hand side of the stairs, and this little triangle of floor is set into there as well, so that's all supported by a lovely tree. Why have a square post when you can have a lovely tree, eh? And then these banister spindles and handrails are all timber that's come out of my own hedge, which is very satisfying, but I'll do a separate episode on that, so that'll be the next episode. So for now, let's rewind a little bit and I'll show you how I made these stairs. Okay, so the first thing is to measure all your distances and then draw a plan up. So this is my plan. This is my tree. This is my mezzanine floor beam. This is the back wall. This is the height of the concrete floor in here. And then this is the height of the raised kitchen floor. So to work out your height of your risers and your treads, I took the measurement from the top of my kitchen floor plus the floorboards, whatever you're going to have, floor finish, to the top of the mezzanine floor and that floor finish. That gives you your total height, and then I can divide that by the number of steps you think you need. So I divided it by 8, and that gave me 220, which is ideal because that's the maximum riser height that you're allowed by UK regs. So that worked out just right. If it had been slightly more height than that, I'd have had to have divided this by 9 to get the highest one that is under 220. But that would have brought the staircase out further. And I'm already struggling for room here, as you can see. So it's quite nice that worked exactly in 8 steps. And then your tread depth this way. If you were working from a specific point to a specific point, you'd divide that by your amount of steps to get the distance of each one. But because I'm struggling for space here, I've just made that the minimum depth required, which is also 220. So I've got a 220 tread and a 220 riser. I've also brought my left stringer down here instead of straight down, because it cuts this whole triangle out here. Because my first step, I'm going to make a right-hand side step. The left-hand side stringer will only need to carry half of it. So I've been able to steal a bit of room there so you can get around and on the stairs better. So let me show you how I've transferred that onto my stringers. So I've used one of these framing squares, and to set it out, what you do, you set your tread depth on this side to 220. It helps if you don't have a square that's rusty as hell. And then you set your other end to your riser height. So because this is an alternating tread staircase, you double that. So instead of 220, that'll be 440 to there. And then you can draw that on. So that's one that I did. Then I measured this distance and cut it in half at my 220, and then put the square on again to get your middle one. And then to transfer this onto my other stringer, I just clamped the two stringers together so they can't move, and then used a square to transfer the lines over both sides of the stringer, and then you can just connect the lines up and you've got both your stringers marked up then. So next job is to get these stringers in place. Now, initially, I've just used one of these bolts that's coming through my mezzanine floor beams just to hold this in place while I have a play with everything. But plan is, I'm going to use one of these double joist hangers on the mezzanine beam itself and then cut a bird's mouth out of this stringer to then slot over that beam. And then this side, this stringer is going to go into that post. So I've lined it up with where it needs to be, and then eyeballed it from the back and marked on with a pencil where that post goes. And then I'm going to cut that slightly shy of that line. So here's the line. I'm going to come back a bit and cut it level with it here somewhere, so as that can sink into the post a little bit. Once I've cut it back, I'll mark it onto the post itself and chisel into that, and then this should sit in. And then I've also got a joist hanger that will go onto this wood at this point and support that even better. So that'll be a nice good strong fixing into the post. They are nice and solid. That is not going anywhere. So really happy with the floor now. Stringers are sorted. Marked it up with the ladder look so you can see how the stairs are going to look. It's going to be quite good. So now all I need to do is make the steps. And I've made this template one here. I'll just show it you in here. Right. Whoa. So that's what the first step's going to look like. You can see now I've been able to chop this left hand side stringer down. So I need to make 8 of these. This one's the template one. I've measured the gap in between the two at the top, and that is 630. So then I'm having a 15mm recess in either stringer, so 660. So I've measured that and cut it to 660. Halfway I've got this nice curve on it. And then I've used that as a template to mark up the best bits of the rest of the timbers I've got, and I can get the rest of them cut out. So I think we better fast forward this bit, eh? there's all my steps finished. Very happy with how these have turned out. I've sanded them all up so as they are the finished thickness that they're going to be, and then I've numbered the end of each one as well, so then that corresponds to which slot it's going to go in, and I can rest these onto the stringers, draw around them and get each one to be an exact fit. So I've done that on all these, and I've just give it a chiseled edge, so I've got a nice clean edge to work up to. And then I'm going to use the chop saw to take the majority of the meat out of these slots, and the hammer and chisel just to neaten it all up. Wish me luck. So all the slots are cut now. I've done a dry run to see how she fits. Look at that. Lovely. All nice and snug. Pleased with that. Now, before I can get this put together properly, there's one more thing I need to do, because building control won't actually let you have an open staircase like this. This gap's too big. Any gap has got to be 100mm or less. So what I'm going to do to get over this, instead of putting a back on it, because I want it to be open and light, is put some bars across. So that will then divide that in half. I'm just going to drill some holes in the end here, 15mm, same as these slots, and then just poke the rod in either side when I put it back together. So get them sorted, get the stringers sanded up, we'll be ready for final assembly. That's good. I think you should try it. Shoes off. Ah, solid. Quite nice for coming down as well, actually. It's really good. So this last step then, I've chiselled a bit out on the left hand side in this tree for seating there. But I've not chiselled any out on the right hand side here because I'm sliding in from this side, and it's got all this seating on anyway, so it doesn't really need any support this side. And I've put all my floorboards down on the mezzanine now as well. Doesn't that look nice? So now I know exactly what level I'm working to, and I can make this step fit perfect. So I've cut a bit out there where it sits around the tree, and I've also had to take some out so as it matches the thickness of the floorboards there. So slide this in. And like I say, we've got a good seating on all of that. Nice flush fit there. Oh, it is now. And it's all nice and level. So I'm going to nail this down, same as my floorboards, with these floorboard nails, and then I can tap the heads in and fill them. I'm also going to put a couple of these long nails through the bottom of this step up into this. And then fill all my little gaps. I can get some oil on. So just like I did on the doors, I'm using Danish oil to oil these stairs up with a little bit of Sickens dark oak dye in there, just to give it a little bit of colour. Makes it a little bit darker, because it was really white new pine look. So I put that on and then give it 15 minutes or so, soak in. And then I'm just rubbing the excess off with a cloth. Oh. So, colour's looking nice. Last thing to do is sort these screw holes out, because they obviously don't look very nice. Now, you could either just fill these with some wood filler, or I thought about drilling them out and putting some dowel in to blank them off. But then these studs that my family's been hoarding for years in the garage, one day they'll be useful. Well, today's that day. I've taken a load of these, cut the screw bit off, cleaned them up and resprayed them. I'm just going to stick those on there with a bit of resin, just to cloak that end. They'll look nice then. There we are. It's all done. Now I've still got my handrails to put on both sides and a balustrade to put across the end of the mezzanine floor, but I'll save that for another episode because it's a lot more work. And this is already quite long, but these, yeah, they're nice to walk up. It's quite natural. It doesn't feel any different to a normal staircase really. You're just not stepping as far forwards. It's alright. Run down the more. Boom. Yeah, good stuff. However, let me share with you my little boo-boo. So before I cut the slots in for the steps, I thought I'll have a remeasure, because I wanted to get it to finish perfectly at the top and all the steps be even. So I just quickly remarked it out, and when I did this step okay, and marked that out to there, but when I cut this line in half to put this step in, instead of measuring 220, I measured 210. And then it's made, so basically all of the right steps were 230 and all the left steps were 210 instead of them all being 220. So these three left steps, I had to move down 10 millimeters. So you can see underneath all these, I've had to put little slithers of wood as packers to fill that gap where I've moved them. But luckily it's underneath the step, so it's not too noticeable. Generally, I'm fairly ecstatic with the staircase. I think I've done a brilliant job. Looks real nice. This bottom section here, plan is to come off this step to here and have a cupboard door down the front. So all that there will be a little understairs cupboard, and I can use that as a wood store for the fire. So, that's the end of the stairs. Like I say, I'll do the balustrade and handrails in another episode, so subscribe and stay tuned for that. Don't forget to get the notifications on as well, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers!